I'd like to open the March 11th, 2025 City Council meeting. This public meeting of the city is recorded on Zoom with a link that is posted on the agenda. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications and public hearings to be recognized to speak. If technical difficulties arise and the Zoom link is interrupted during an in-person hybrid meeting of the City Council and a quorum is present, the meeting may continue after efforts have been made to reestablish the link. The minutes shall note the interruption. It is the finding of the City of Gloucester that no individual should be denied equal treatment or opportunity because of their age, ancestry, color, disability, including intellectual and developmental, mental disability, family status, immigration status, gender identity or expression, military status, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. Tonight in attendance, we have Counselor at Large Valerie Gilman, Ward 4 Counselor Frank Majota. We have Ward 2 Counselor Dylan Benson is online. Ward 1 Counselor Scott Memard. Ward 3 Counselor Marjorie Grace. Counselor at Large Jason Grow, and Ward 5 Counselor and Council Vice President Sean Nolan. With us, we have our City Clerk, Grace Poirier, and we have our DPW Director, Mike Hale, and we have our CFO, Connor McCorkle, is remote. And I am Council President Tony Gross. And we will now stand for the flag salute led by Counselor Gilman, and then we will have a moment of silence that Counselor Nolan will preside over.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Counselor Nolan, would you like to say a few words?
I would. I'd like to bring up a moment of silence for our retired police chief, James Marr. Jim was a family friend along with his entire family, his wife, Pam, and his 2 children. Not only did they work hard with community aspects of trying to bring things for a better way of life in Gloucester, as a police chief, Jim Marr worked hard to bring equality to the police department and to make things fair. He spearheaded and did a lot of things to bring into the DARE program. We have the Community Impact Unit as we know it now, which is wonderful. Jim was very much involved with the DARE program. His brother-in-law, Teddy Coster Sr., was one of the members in Willie Eastman. Jim was involved in a lot of things, including the Gloucester Fireworks, working with partnerships with the churches and local organizations to try to help out the citizens of Gloucester when someone was in need. He had no problem asking for help from these organizations to better Gloucester for its citizens and to work hard to compile the relationships that he did in-house at the police station and bring in other people involved. And as a family friend and thankful for his work as a police chief, I'd like to make this moment of silence for James Marr. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Oral communications.
Anyone in the audience would wish to speak on oral communications? Okay, step right up, state your name and address for the record, please. Can you speak right into the microphone, please, so it gets recorded? Is that even on?
Go tiptoes. Great, thank you. My name is Zorba Kinnickstein. I live at 594 Western Ave in Gloucester. I'm one of the owners of George's in Gloucester as well, and I would like to address the removal of the parking spaces on Washington Street around the intersection of Washington Street and Centennial. I frequently have customers tell me they are struggling to find parking near the restaurant, and if they can't find a spot, they usually just continue down the road and go somewhere else. Right now, I don't know if you guys know, but costs and everything for a small business is extremely hard, especially for a restaurant. We have eggs, coffee, utilities, everything has gone up. And tourism, as far as I know, is the main driving economic factor in Gloucester. George's has been in Gloucester since at least the 1940s. All of the parking spot restrictions have occurred in the last 4 years of the 80 years of George's being there. In good faith, I offered to agree with changing the parking spot directly in front of the restaurant to make it easier to see around the corner in hopes of making it a safer intersection and also in hopes of getting a crosswalk there. We served about 110,000 customers last year, and I would estimate more than the population of Gloucester crosses Washington Street in front of George's, not in the crosswalk. I requested the crosswalk, but it was rejected because it was going to be a right-hand turn off of Centennial, and the head of the DPW said that he doesn't put crosswalks in right-hand turns, even though the other end of Centennial does have a crosswalk on a right-hand turn right before the Blyman Bridge. I noticed there was a forum about St. Peter's Square a little while back about parking and restricting the parking and changing the time of the parking. And I noticed that it was brought to the attention of the business owners and the residents and just the community in the area so people could come and speak up and say what they thought about it. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened for all the parking on Washington Street around George's. So now 7 parking spaces have been removed that are the closest to the restaurant, as well as the only crosswalk that are there. I did not get any notification. I should be paying more attention to when these meetings are happening, but I have 2 little kids and I'm running a business, so it's kind of hard to keep up with everything that's happening. We have 4 open businesses on the intersection of Washington and Centennial. There is 1 closed business space that could be open for another business, all in direct proximity of all of the removed parking spaces. The reason I was told that the spots were removed is that state regulation is 20 feet from a crosswalk. There is not parking allowed. However, this is clearly an optional regulation since I have observed over 25 crosswalks in Gloucester with marked parking spaces within 2 feet of a crosswalk, including some on Western Ave that are about 2.5 feet wide that are marked as legal parking spots that are unsafe, but they're marked as legal parking spots. So I say, why don't we remove the 25 parking spots that are within 20 feet on Main Street, Rogers Street, Dale Ave, Pleasant Street, and Western Ave? Because even though it would make them all safer, it would harm the public, it would harm the local businesses, and all of that would clearly outweigh any safety benefit from removal of the spaces. The parking that has been restricted on Washington Street is 45 feet in front of Tony's and another 40 feet in front of the right turn onto Centennial, so in excess of the requirement for both. There's no way to tell if the extra 25 and 20 feet of removed parking makes Washington Street any safer, but I can tell you with absolute certainty that this is hurting businesses in the area. It's very difficult to find parking. I drove to work at 8 a.m. the other day, and I had to park 3 blocks down. The restaurant was half empty. So it's not just like our business, it's very difficult to park around here.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay. We have many disabled and elderly guests who are unable to walk very far, and all the spots that are closest to the restaurant as well as the crosswalk, they can't cross it. I didn't know I had such a short time. So my suggestion.
Sorry, I didn't mention 3 minutes.
What?
I'm sorry I didn't mention 3 minutes. Go ahead for another
Okay.
20.
Sorry. Yeah, so even with all the parking restrictions, there are frequent accidents on this corner because there's a blind corner. You cannot see around the corner until you pull into the intersection to the point that you are obstructing traffic. There's no safe way to do it. I watch cars all day pull further and further out. Anyone who drives down Washington Street is always on high alert going by Centennial because you're expecting a car to pull out at you. So I request, I'll sum it up. I request that we do the 20-foot regulation if that's what you guys want to do as a requirement for the state for those 2 parking spaces. But my solution is that we change Centennial to a one-way on the end. Kent Circle was changed from a 2-way to a 1-way, and that has absolutely made it more dangerous to enter Essex Ave from Western Ave. This would be an opportunity to make an intersection far safer, and we could also add a crosswalk if there was no right turn exiting Centennial, which would make it safer for the tens of thousands of people that are crossing Washington Street right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have no one online. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Confirmation of new appointments.
Counselor Nolan.
Thank you. For first up on confirmations, we have the Gloucester Clean City Commission with Walt Condola. Walt is in the audience today. Walt, if you'd like to come up and have a few moments and let the council know a little bit about yourself.
So I was asked about a month ago by Hugo Burnham if I'd like to join the Clean City Commission. I went to the first meeting since he had asked and checked it out and thought I'd be a good fit for it. So I submitted the necessary request to the mayor's office and went to meet last week with, I'm not sure, the committee that you were on, Sean.
Ordinance Administration.
The ordinance, and it was approved there. I was asked to go to the town hall to get sworn in, which I did. I have my paperwork for that, so that's why I'm here. Just to make it official.
Excellent. Is there any councilor questions for Walt Colinda? All right, seeing none, I'll just reiterate, Walt, I'm excited for this. You're a great person. When you moved to Magnolia with your business, you were involved in all aspects of Magnolia, not just Clean City, but the Magnolia Library, the farmers market, and getting people together. You are truly a blessed person to bring people together and get things done. So I'm excited with this, and with this, I'll read the motion. Ordinance on a motion by Councilor Gray, seconded by Councilor Majota. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Walt Colinda to the Gloucester Clean City Commission, term to end 2/16/2028, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor Grace. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Counselor Grace.
Yes.
Counselor Gross.
Yes.
Counselor Grow.
Absolutely.
Counselor Majota.
Yes.
Counselor Memhard.
Yes, thank you, Walt.
Counselor Nolan.
Yes, absolutely.
Counselor Worthley.
Yes, thank you.
Counselor Benson.
Yes.
Vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you, Council. I look forward.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Walt. So next up, we have for the Planning Board, Steve Yost, term to end 2/16/2028. Steve, you just want to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself? That would be excellent.
Hello, I've lived in Gloucester for about 10 years with my wife in Magnolia. I serve currently on the board of the Magnolia Library, and it's good to be in good company. And I also work with GMGI, both as a mentor and as a research assistant most recently, and probably a few other things that I haven't thought of. Oh, I've been head of the steering committee of the Gloucester Gig Growers, part of Maritime Gloucester. And I recently became interested in the long-range planning, the comprehensive plan. That's how I got exposed to all this and met some great people there. And through those meetings, I was encouraged to become more involved, and I'm really fascinated and delighted with the prospect of working with the planning board.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Is there any counselor questions or comments for Steve? Steve, I will say one thing is that you were at the last meeting when we talked a little bit about the roading signs. And you had just sent me an email,
Yes.
gave me a little bit of perspective on some state law. And I'm very happy that you're already working hard to do your part and digging into the knowledge of what can and cannot be and how things work. And I was actually pretty proud that you sent that information to me because I did work on that. And you're obviously going to be a steward of that committee and someone that's going to know what's going on, know what our Mass General laws are and our GCO code. So I just want to thank you for stepping up. It's a tough job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I look forward to it.
And with that, nope, I'm going to make the motion now. And with that being said, I'll make a motion. On a motion by Council Majota, seconded by Council Grace, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Steve Yost to the Planning Board, term to end 2/16/2028, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Nolan, seconded by Counselor Majota. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace,
Yes.
Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Thank you, Steve. Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Thank you, Steve. Yes.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
Vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're going to have fun.
So next up is the Waterways Board, Kaylin O'Malley, term to end 2/16/2028. On a motion by Council Grace, seconded by Councilor Majota, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council appoint Kaylin O'Malley to the Waterways Board, term to end 2/16/28, and I so move.
Second.
Kaylin has not been here tonight. He's known to the committee, known to the Waterways Board. I believe he'll be a great asset as a fisherman. He has not been sworn in yet, but he will be sworn in this week. I have full faith that Kaylin will fulfill his duties on the Waterways Board.
Motion? Oh, yes. So true. I too know Kalen. That he's of a younger generation, and he's actually Kellen. He's actually one of the only active, he will be the only active fisherman that's on the Waterways Board, and it's a voice that's sorely needed there. So will you please call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace,
Yes.
Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
Vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
The consent agenda.
Would anyone like to pull anything off the consent agenda? Yeah. I would like to pull off item number 2, council proclamation standing up for and defending transgender, gender diverse residents of Gloucester. And also, I would like to pull off the BNF minutes of 3/6/2025.
Move to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Gross, seconded by Counselor Gilman. Discussion? Okay, call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace,
Yes.
Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow, Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
The vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Okay, on item number 2, under communications invitations, city proclamation standing up for and defending the trans and gender diverse, our gender diverse residents of Gloucester, I'd like to just have it stay with the city council and not be referred to human rights. And I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Gross, seconded by Counselor Worthley. Discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace. Yes. Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Aye.
Counselor Memhard,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Aye.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
The vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Okay, on the BNF minutes, I would is it number 8 on the minutes? Item 8 on the minutes. I would like to strike current summary of discussion and insert Counselor Gross stated that this matter was dispensed with at the city council, no action taken by BNF. So we need to amend that, vote to amend first.
Second.
Okay, I made the motion. Counselor Gross made the motion. Counselor Grow seconded. Discussion on the amendment? None. Now we need motion for approval.
We need to vote on the
Oh, no,
motion.
vote on the amendment. I'm sorry. Call the roll.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace. Yes. Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Aye.
Counselor Memhard,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
Vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
That's on the amendment. So now we need to vote to approve it. So moved. Motion made by Counselor Worthley, seconded by Counselor Grow. Madam Clerk, could you please, any discussion?
This is to approve the amended minutes, right?
This
It's
is
to file,
approve,
to, yeah, approve and
Yeah.
file.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Counselor Grace.
Yes.
Counselor Gross.
Yes.
Counselor Grow.
Yes.
Counselor Majota.
Yes.
Counselor Memhard.
Aye.
Counselor Nolan.
Aye.
Counselor Worthley.
Aye.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
The vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Okay, next order of business, Madam Clerk.
The March 6th Budget and Finance Standing Committee Report.
All right. I think that, so for the first item of business is memorandum from the Director of Public Works regarding municipal fee increases. Would the Director of Department of Public Works please come up and enlighten us?
Want to do this way, Frank? How to do, all right? Good evening. So I'm not sure exactly how I want to do this, but we can
Okay.
start with the beginning of the,
On?
start with the beginning of the memo, and some of the reasoning for the fee increases. Essentially, most of these fees haven't been adjusted in years, some decades. Some of these go back to the year 2000, and they've remained static since. And certainly the cost of doing business has increased, the regulatory environment has changed. And as we take a look at what some of our group does, infrastructure maintenance is one of the top things that we do, and we don't collect fees associated with maintaining our infrastructure. So it all rests on the back of the ratepayers solely. Plus, of course, we do a debt shift, but typically most communities have certain developmental fees that are charged to people building, redeveloping. Those fees go into certain funds that go to spend directly against some of the issues that the city has, such as aging water infrastructure, aging sewer collection system, I&I, which is water that gets into our sewer lines and, inundates our wastewater plant. So there's a collection of fees within this that covers a lot of those issues with the city. You want to go one by one, Counselor? Or you just want to just the basic highlights?
Let's go one by one.
President, are we
And
going to,
the memo.
Okay, so engineering. So the drainage and grading fees, that's a developmental fee that went into place in the year 2000. The plan review has remained static since that time. The concept of increasing that is to cover the cost of staff's time and staff time only. Fat, soil, and grease. So it's regulated by the state and the federal government. Fat, soil, and grease are what people wash down their sinks, dishwashers, whatever it may be. It gets into the sewer collection system, and the grease builds up when it solidifies solid again. You can wash down hot grease very easily down your drain, but it turns solid not too far from where it goes into the drain. The city faces a huge battle managing fat, soil, and grease within a collection system. It's the number one cause of backups. That's what backs up sewer lines, fat, soil, and grease. We have a component of our wastewater contract operations, a dedicated staff member who manages restaurant inspections or other compliance issues. And it's the public works staff who manages the fat, soil, and grease issue when it lands into the collection system. Septic disposal for holding tanks has not been adjusted since 2007, yet the sewer rate has gone up annually ever since. We think it's time to catch up with that. The step system, which serves North Gloucester, the cost of replacing a control panel that's damaged by the homeowner and the contractors, there is no set fee on that. So we're trying to recuperate any damage to replace the step panel when it needs to be done.
Mr. President, may I ask a question as we go, if there's a question that's specific to one of those items versus,
Sure, go ahead.
just a really quick question, Mike. I think you said at Budget and Finance, the city owns these step pumps that we're replacing from time to time. Is that right?
The step system is primarily owned by the city. There's some minor exceptions out there, but the city maintains about 1,600 to 1,700 step units in the city.
Does our city insurance company, I'm sorry, our insurance policy cover damage to those so that we could get that reimbursed? If it's city-owned property, essentially.
I'm not sure if we've ever gone after insurance. We're self-insured, so I think it's dangerous to start putting in claims that you know the cause of it's not like a tree fell. It's a contractor or homeowner did some work and didn't take care of that step panel. They either put it in a poor place, left it open to the weather, then it's a direct result of that work.
Just meant, I think we have liability insurance, so if a DPW truck hits something on a street, we're covered from a car insurance or a vehicle insurance. Do we have some policy that's like a liability for city property, even though we have an easement, I guess, under their property? Like, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, there is an easement. There's an easement for the tank, and there's an easement for the control panel in theories within that easement. I've never in my 25 years have I seen the city gone after insurance for something like that.
Can I shed some light here? I think what you're asking for here is for damage done by the homeowner to the unit, not damage done by the city, or just regular wear and tear maintenance replacement, which would not be covered under.
Right, no, I understand. I just thought if we had our own insurance policy for something that's on our
But
property we own.
But this fee is on the homeowner. So it's not city liability. Is that correct?
The proposed fee is to recoup if your contractor damaged the step panel at your house, wasn't paying attention, inadvertently threw it away. We've a number of times it wound up in dumpsters. You know, the people doing the demo of the siding don't realize it's something important. And it winds up, it's missing. If they wear and tear, we just replace them at our own expense. But if they're damaged, they go missing. Right now, there is no fee structure for us to recuperate that cost.
So it's not city doing the damage.
I understand. I was thinking if the city could
No.
hold the homeowner
No.
or the contractor liable, then it would be
That's what this
insurance
is,
company
that's
to
what this is
insurance
for.
company, without the insurance company.
Yes, which we want to stay away from.
I understand. Thank you.
Absolutely. And within that step fee structure is replacement of a sewer cover. Step tanks all have a cover to grade. On occasion, they wear, but more frequently, someone drives through them or a landscaper mows over them, rendering them not safe and need to be replaced. So just looking to recover costs on that. That's engineering and water compliance. Public service fees. Sidewalk obstruction fees. Currently, it's been $75 a week since at least 2007. Looking to increase that to $50 a day. Let's see. Operational costs at Stagefort Park. Currently, if you're a resident, you don't pay to have your wedding there. It's free. It requires the same amount of staffing for trash removal, setup, et cetera, that it would be for someone out of town. That includes other special events citywide. We have a number of special events that go before the Special Events Advisory Committee. We don't recover any setup or breakdown costs at Public Works for that. And that includes dumpsters, trash barrels, whatever else it may be. That's included in the fee schedule we have in front of you. Increase in building rental and custodial coverage. That's trying to keep up with the cost of hourly employees and the time that it takes them to work their overtime shifts for these events. Talbot Rink, the ice, if you want to rent the rink for a birthday party, currently you can rent the ice for an hour and the warm room for an hour. It costs less than 1 hour of ice time for a men's league or a youth league. Trying to bring that back in line with the same prices that everyone else pays when they use the facility. You don't need to rent the warm room. You can just rent the ice, or you can rent the ice and the warm room, your choice. Public utilities. These are all enterprise-driven funds, and this is where we talk into development costs and trying to fortify our fund balance within these two water and sewer funds. Water entry fees. Prior to this fee schedule, we both had domestic and fire service fees. We're looking just to have a single fee for both, depending on the tap size that you choose. And that's predicated on the flows of the size of the building, size of the fire service. And these, again, these are costs that people pay for development. Sometimes it's easier for me to read off the memo itself, off the chart. So the fire service fees and system development fees, right now, there's no fee for new development. You just tie into the main that the rest of the ratepayers used that have been paid for by the ratepayers, looking for $2,000 per unit. It's in line with other communities of our size in our region that charge this fee. This fee would directly go to the Water Enterprise Fund to help offset future capital costs for water. The water meter charges on this, we're looking, rather than have a set fee per meter, to just have the fee reflect the cost of us, because our meter fees go up with every contract. Every year there's an escalator in the contract for the meters. We're looking just to recover that and charge the rate that we're paying for the meters.
President, may I ask a question on this?
Sure.
And I apologize, I was only able to attend a portion of the Budget and Finance meeting, so I would have asked these questions then, but this shouldn't take too long. You're proposing variable market cost. So I completely understand why. I just want to understand, is there a period of time that you would just change that fee for that year, or is it per measurement of each pipe? Or I'm just trying to think, how would you communicate that to the people who are going to be assessed this fee at some point?
So if you are developing a house, your plumber comes in to buy a water meter. He may, or they may not know the cost of the meter depending on the size that they're choosing. And the concern is right now, if you're going to have a 5/8 meter, it's $375. My contract might be $394 or $404. We bid a year, 2 or 3 year contracts for items like this. And every year the price changes. It's a contractual year depending on when they were put out to bid. So year 1, the meter may be $400. Year 2, it might be $415. Year 3, it might be $425.
I understand the variable market price. I just wonder how we would communicate that so that people know what the cost will be. Will it be sort of as, once a year, quarterly? Like, what would be the time frame that you would be adjusting and
When
publishing?
they come to pull the permit, I would assume.
Well, we would again, we know what we know what the structure is. We know what the contract value is for everything we buy. And we don't sell everything that we buy, but water meters is something we pass on. So we put an order in for water meters. We know that year X, they are this value. That'd be posted at the front counter and on the Public Works website, which is accessible to everyone. And that's currently
As
with,
the contract changes, you'll post the changes.
they would just be updated accordingly and just match the
Okay.
fee.
Works for me. Thank you.
So you're basically just passing the cost through.
The attempt's always been to not overcharge. And in the years past, they'd set meter rates and leave them that way for many, many, many years. We have gone up somewhat over the time trying to catch up, but this just gives us a little more flexibility in making sure that, we can get the best value. And obviously you want the best value when we buy meters. It's publicly procured. We use a particular meter brand citywide, so we're kind of locked into that. You can't just go from brand A to brand B, so we always with brand A.
Like, are they domestic made?
They're made in Alabama.
No tariff warning worries.
Maybe, who knows?
I'd state though.
Water, sewer, meter, customer service fees, final reads. If you're going to sell your real estate, typically your realtor comes in for final read. That price has not evolved since 2008. The radio frequency read is a small gray box inside of your home that transmits your meter usage to a radio-controlled device. So the meter people aren't actually reading your meter. They're driving by your home, picking up the meter reads. Again, that price remains the same, but that's still in the fee schedule that was updated in 2008. That hasn't changed. Water turn on and turn offs, that hasn't changed in 2008. That requires a service truck to go to your property at the request of a plumber or a property manager to physically turn the water on or off. The meter tests, the price hasn't changed. We still think we can do it with the $75. Water fixture rates. When I first took this seat, we had over 300 water fixtures rate customers in the city, meaning they do not have meters in their homes. We are down to about 70 today. We can't seem to compel those 70 to allow water meters to be installed. But really, the only way to do it is to drive the cost. To capture, we have homes that have massive green lawns that pay a fixture rate. They have irrigation. We have very large properties that have fixture rates. People may not be there that often. It's usually the excuse that we can't get in because I'm only there on Saturday and Sunday. We'll make an appointment on Saturday. Well, I'm not there this Saturday. So it's just really trying to get rid of, we're not supposed to have fixture rate customers, according to the DEP. They want everyone, all water metered. So we've done a pretty good job reducing that number from 300 plus or minus down to under 100. We'll hope that this will help compel those remaining 70 folks to get a water meter.
President, May.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure I understood that. There are 70 or so property owners who are not paying for water, but using water?
They are paying a fixture rate. Fixture rate is something that evolved many decades ago, long before me. And it's an assessment on the property based on some formula that was figured out many years ago. And it's a very low cost for water use.
So if they have an outdoor hose and 2 sinks and a shower, that's $44.50 currently times the number of fixtures.
Right. Essentially. But
So
we
they're
know some of these
underpaying.
properties using significantly more water than the fixture rate covers today, which is unfair to the other ratepayers in the city. And you pay for what you use. We're not trying to stick it to anyone. It's just really trying to capture what the consumption is that they have. You
We
can
have no jurisdiction or authority to insist that they have a water meter?
We have sent out banker boxes filled with paper over the years to customers. And we've done a pretty good job. Like I said, we've gone from, plus or minus 300 down to about 70.
A good job. I don't mean to sound
No.
critical of that work. Just, I don't know if anybody else is just shocked. There's 70 people who pay $44.50 per fixture versus the water rate that everyone else is paying. So it's just, I don't know of a solution to be helpful, but if the legislative one that we can help with, let us know.
This seems to be the most practical way when I speak to any water department in the state that raise your fixture rates. It'll compel them because it hits home.
Good luck.
Let's see, other fixtures. Some of these other fees under the water division, sewer division, they're simply just capturing cost of service. A pressure test, if you need a pressure test, a water main, we're there to witness it. We're there to either help with it. And oftentimes that seems to be the last thing that the contractor does in any given day. So they're just trying to recover our costs, because that's usually on overtime. Bacterial sampling. Someone's installing a new water main. State's really leaning on us for us to be collecting the sample, not relying on a third party to do so. And currently we have no fee schedule in place for that. This covers the cost of grabbing the sample and bringing the sample to a certified lab to make sure that the water is safe to be brought online for potable use. Cross connection. Cross connection is when you have multiple sources of water that enter your home. We don't want well water mixing with citywide drinking water. Could not be treated well. It could be contaminated. If there's a water main break or a big fire, you can negatively draw water out of a home, and that can create a siphon. So you could be draining someone's well into the distribution system. So cross connection is mandated by the state. We have been one employee who oversees a cross connection program, and sometimes it requires more than one visit to a property. So we're just trying to recover their time for this effort.
Name Gus.
It is Gus.
Remember.
He is a great man.
Hard worker.
On the bottom of the municipal fee schedule for sewer, there's a host of fees. Most are new. Most would probably require a little explanation. Currently, we have no tapping fee to enter a new sewer main. It's a sewer connection permit. It's been the same permit since I was in engineering in the year 2000, $100. We actually do the taps on a lot of the sewer work, and we're looking to recover those costs. New construction or adding to an existing dwelling, this is an I&I fee. We are mandated by the state to reduce and remove I&I in the sewer collection system. There is no funding in the sewer budget to do so. Creating a sewer bank through developmental fees would help with that. We're proposing $1,500 per bedroom for new development or additions. Neighboring Rockport's $2,700 per bedroom for this. They are, in fact, a little bit worse off than we are when it comes to I&I, but this would help fortify the sewer fund for that type of work.
Mike, could you tell them what I&I is?
It's infiltration and inundation. So it's when either stormwater or groundwater enters the sewer collection system, and that winds up being treated at the wastewater plant. So it's just groundwater or surface water, but it's still treated the same way as sanitary waste. And we're mandated to remove as much as possible from our system. We don't have a consent order for this yet, but that is likely somewhere on the horizon, and we will have to have funding to tackle that when it happens. We do I&I work regularly, but it's done through the sewer budget, so it's not as robust as the state would like us to see, or as good stewards of our collection system and our treatment facility we would want to be. Again, a lot of these are just simple things like a hot tap. That's a pressure sewer. You can tap a pressure sewer when the sewer main's charged. It's a special device called a hot tap. We have no fee schedule for that now. It's basically the cost of the component and the time to do the tap. The CCTV, that didn't change. The step tanks, we have market cost plus shipping on this. We have gone to a standardized model for step tanks. We maintain all the step tanks in the city. We had a fiberglass model that the city installed on their own back in the 90s and early 2000s. That tank was imported from California. Not very reasonable to expect a local builder to source a tank from California. All our components are Renco brand components, and Renco sells a new tank, and we are using those tanks citywide now on our reinstalls or compelling developers to use them in their operations. So it's literally just a pass-through of the cost of the components.
Does anybody want to back up on this and ask any questions of the DPW director? All these fees where it came out of BNF with a positive recommendation minus the trash fee, which was just passed through to BNF, to full council. Nobody's got any questions? Councilor Gilman.
Through the chair. Mike, do you think there would ever be an opportunity for us to send a notice out during one of our utility bills to let people in Gloucester understand the detail that you've done to back up the need for these rates so people understand? And the reason why I say that is a lot of people don't read the paper anymore. They don't look at our packages, but all of a sudden they're going to get an increase, and you've done a significant amount of work that shows the detail of why we've made the decision. But I just think that it might be worth, we're sending those bills out with stamps to all the utility holders, and it just might be a thought. And I guess you can't, I'm not asking you to give me a decision right now. You might go back to administration and they might say it's just not wise, but I'm thinking, and I'm thinking that this would be useful for the residents of Gloucester to understand, because this is so helpful, and you've done your homework, and I'd like to think that people would understand. No one likes to see fees go up, but with the documentation that you've done, I think it makes it much more credible and necessary.
I think
So-
something to keep in mind is that most of these fees won't be felt by your average homeowner. If you're building a new home, doing a new development, putting an addition on your property, we know the cost of building these days. Residential construction's $500, $600, $700 a square foot per square foot. And so fees that were always in place or in place in a lot of communities. I think most developers are aware that these are real fees. And again, they don't hit most homeowners unless they're doing a redevelopment and building themselves a new home. If you stay in your home, don't change other than the water and sewer rates, which is voted separately every year. Not really subject to these fees. These are developmental fees, with the exception of some very small ones that have increased slightly.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
I'm not saying they don't deserve to be published somewhere, but I'm saying that's the root of most of these are developmental, not your average homeowner feeling 90% of these, your average homeowner would never see.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Grow.
Sure.
He said yes.
Okay.
Moving along.
You positive?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, can we get back to septic fees for a minute? I want to clear up something that I want to make sure that I'm right on this in my thinking. A lot of times people say I'm on a septic system. Why am I paying? Why should I have to pay anything into the sewer system? Either through taxes or whatever. What happens to the septage that's pumped out of people's septic tanks and septic system? Where does that go?
So when your tank is, if you have a septic system, whether it's a traditional septic system or a holding tank, and your licensed septage hauler pumps your tank, that septage is brought to the Gloucester wastewater treatment facility, disposed of and treated there.
Basically, if you're on a septic system, you're still using our wastewater treatment plant and again, soon to be secondary treatment plant. That's all part of the same system.
Correct. It's less frequent, obviously, but they are still using it, by local ordinance every 3 years.
Thanks.
Counselor Benson?
It looks like I'm sorry. It looks like we've moved on, but you spoke, if you can hear me, Commissioner, sorry, I'm under the weather, but you said the 90%. Could you explain the 10% that are not going to be, that the average homeowner is going to feel? So you said 90% they aren't going to feel. What are the 10%? If you could just gloss over that quickly.
Most of these fees are related to development. So if your home stays, you don't put an addition on your home, I think if you polled, again, the 90%, that's just tossing a number out there, Counselor.
Okay.
I think if you drove down any street, you'd find 9 out of 10 houses don't have a new addition on them. They just remain the same size for the duration of the existence of that dwelling. Most people don't build a new home in their lives. They move into an existing. Those people building new homes or new developments, this is trying to share the cost that the ratepayers have already paid in for the maintenance and the development of our water and wastewater systems.
More questions? Okay. Counselor Memard, do you want to read the motion?
My pleasure to do so. So again, we're taking trash rates separately. So the first motion, committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Gross, seconded by Councilor Memhard. Budget and Finance Committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the City Council approve the proposed municipal fee schedule and memo dated February 4th, 2025, as incorporated hereto, presented by the Director of Public Works and approved by the mayor, except for the proposed trash fee increases. And I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Memard, seconded by Counselor Worthley. Discussion?
We had a lengthy discussion of Budget and Finance. I don't know if, I think Mike's done a very good job of covering the overview. I don't know if anybody has additional questions or not.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? Counselor Gilman has a question.
It's not a question, but we're deliberating, right? Right now, discussion. So in looking back at the documentation, which is in the folder from the March 6th BNF meeting, I'd just like to restate the reason for the increases that we've discussed. Number one, inflation. The rising cost of goods and services has impacted the municipality's operational expenses. Number two, infrastructure maintenance. The need to maintain and upgrade aging infrastructure requires significant investment. And number three, regulatory compliance. Meeting new regulatory requirements often involves additional costs. The following outlines the fees that we've discussed right now. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you. Counselor Worthley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too will be supporting these. I want to thank Mike Hale for his hard work. It's not easy to figure these things out. It's also not easy to run these things at a loss for sometimes 8, 9, 10 years. And I think what people don't always appreciate is that you're doing the work either way, whether you're collecting the fee or not, or you're collecting the correct fee. And if you're doing the work, that means it's being paid for out of the general fund or out of your budget, which means something else doesn't get done. And I appreciate this is very singularly focused on the people who are using these things. It's not generally costing every single resident more money to hook up to a sewer or to shut off a valve or something like that because it's based on them using it. So the cost is being attributed to the people who are benefiting from it. And in many cases, they're passing it on to their tenant or their contractors passing it on to the homeowner. I appreciate the work you've done on this. And also, in some cases, people might see this as a large percentage increase, not looking at the number of years without an increase. And if there's been 10 years, then whatever the percentage is you could divide it by 10 to determine what the real rate of increase would be. And so these are very reasonable considering the amount of work that your department does. So thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Counselor Grace.
Yes.
Counselor Gross.
Yes.
Counselor Grow.
Yes.
Counselor Majota.
Yes.
Counselor Memhard.
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Aye.
The vote is 9 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Okay, the next up is the headliner tonight, trash fees. You guys want to come up and speak to the trash fees? Coming to the microphone is CEO Jill Cahill and DPW Director Mike Hale.
It's color coded today.
Yeah, we did. Lost our colors. Thank you, Mr. President, through you to the members. First, Councilor Gilman, if I just want to answer your question about publishing the fees and fines. Council President Gross and the mayor both uncovered an council order that was passed on the previous time on the mayor's, when he was on the council. Grace and I will be working on what it is, the publishing of a schedule of fees. So for two reasons. One, for the public, they'll be able all be stored and be able to be found on the clerk's page as well as each individual department's page. And it'll make this process of changing fees much simpler because it won't necessarily have to go through the whole city council process. So stay tuned. This uncovered that. Just to introduce this next portion, as you know, the mayor asked all managers to review their fee schedules in light of the upcoming budget and the challenges we're facing. The majority of these changes are to right size the fee to what the actual service is, which is what you just passed. Thank you for your support. The recommendation that the mayor's put forward on trash is more than just right sizing the fee. It's about subsidizing what we pay for the total trash contract. And Connor is on. He's going to put up, thank you, Connor. Put up a chart to help you guys kind of walk you through some of the numbers behind trash. And then Mike's here, obviously, to answer your questions. We are currently subsidizing trash at over $1 million per fiscal year. And as we move into our future trash contract, which Mike will get into, we're projecting that we would be by 2027, if we don't make a fee change to the trash bags, as well as the bulk sticker items, but it's really more about the trash bags. We would be subsidizing trash removal by $2.5 million in 2027. So that's $1 million increase in a few fiscal years. The other reason we really feel strongly about putting this one forward is trash is pay as you throw. Our program is designed to encourage people to control what they throw out and how they manage this expense. We really would like to encourage people to recycle, compost when it's available. We have a great service locally with Green Earth, as well as many of us do it in our own homes. So this is one of those few fees, similar to a development fee, that people really have control over. And as we did the math and we're preparing for this, if you do one large trash bag at the new proposed fee per week, it would be $208 a year to have someone come, and Mike says it best, to someone come to your doorstep and remove your trash every week. So that's why we're putting this one forward. It's obviously your decision on how to do this, but it's really a decision about which part of the general fund would you like, how much of the general fund do you want to subsidize this trash contract in? And with that understanding that the other, as the mayor always uses the squeeze the balloon, there will be other core services that we need to think about and address if we have to continue to increase the way we subsidize trash. So a little background, this is if we don't do anything to the fees. These are our projections. Now, no guarantees on the trash contract. Hopefully it won't be worse. Maybe it'll be better. Connor, if you'll switch to the other slide. This is what we're projecting if what we've put forward goes through in 2027. Instead of 2.5, it would be 1.5. So it's $1 million difference by FY27 that we'll have to make up elsewhere in the budget. So just to give you a broad picture there, and then Mike's here to talk a little trash about the industry and then can answer your question.
This may be better served by a question and answer, but I'm going to start with a few points that the solid waste industry has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. Recycling was thought to be the savior of the solid waste industry, and that we're going to divert all this solid waste that would traditionally go to a landfill, or in our case, an incinerator, to a new life with recycling. And for the last 9 years, Gloucester's had the benefit of a zero cost of recycling disposal. I mean, we pay to get it collected, but the $0 charged to us to dispose of that recycling. That is nowhere to be found in a contract today. Matter of fact, many communities are facing tipping fees for recycling equal or greater than the cost of getting rid of their solid waste. I gave an example at the Budget and Finance meeting of a community that's looking at $119.25 per ton next year. We pay zero, about 5,000 to 6,000 tons annually. No matter what the increase is, the math is pretty simple. If it's $10 a ton or $100 a ton, the math's easily done. We're going to be paying significantly more to get rid of recycling than we have in the past. The cost of collections has changed. There's many vendors out there right now who struggle to find CDL drivers to drive these trash trucks, or willing labor to hang off the backside of these trucks. Part of our issues with our existing contractor is labor shortages. They can't always staff accordingly, which lends to a lot of phone calls to my office and probably your own offices, certainly City Hall. It's unfortunate, but that's the market we're looking at. So we know that the next trash contract's going to be significantly different than this one. There may be some methodology that's changed. We've talked about going to carts versus, automated carts, and that may work in parts of the city. It may not work well in other parts of the city. So we need to take a close look at that so we don't make a complete mess out of our solid waste collection program. Core services is kind of the root of this whole discussion. I've seen my department, I'm just going to use the public service department, which is the old highway department, Parks and Rec, whatever you want to call it. It was a number of departments once upon a time. It's one department right now. It's the Department of Public Services. There's 13 full-time employees in that. There was over 30 when I began. That's a direct result of core services being cut. Their whole operating budget, not personnel, just the ordinary, is less than $1.2 million through everything that they do and that we contract out. We contract out more grass mowing than we do. I have 2 FTEs that cut grass in the summer. That's it. Councilor Worthy can recall when he was once with the city, he had 10 to 12 people that worked summer help, that worked in the cemeteries and parks cutting grass. Those days are gone. We're lucky if we can get 2 or 3 kids willing to work a partial week right now. Not that salary's bad, or the hourly is not bad. It's better than most kids that age earning, but there's just not an interest in doing the manual labor. So core services is really at the root of this. No matter where this money comes from to fill this contract, it's going to come from somewhere else. And I'm not sure where that's going to come from. We only have so much more that we can give back, or we just completely reduce the remaining core services that are already noticeably not enough. Our cost to us is, why aren't we mowing the grass weekly in the cemetery? Don't have people to mow it weekly. We mow it on a schedule. We might get there on day 6, the following week, to mow it again. They start in April and they cut until the end of the growing season, never leaving those cemeteries or parks. So it's a difficult discussion when you start talking core services and what the city can afford and what can't afford. As Jill mentioned, pay as you throw is just that. You can control how much you spend on getting rid of your trash. And certainly the increase from the projected increase up to $4 seems like a lot from $225, but again, $208 a year to have someone come to your house on a schedule to take your trash away, I don't think it's that bad a price. If you're going to contract with a private hauler to come to your home on your own, you'll pay $100 per barrel per month to have them come to your home. So you service a local service provider, leave names out of it, $100 per toter per month. So 2 toters, $200 a month. A lot different than someone coming to your house with this municipal recycling and trash program. So we can talk about the existing contract and how it's grown over the years. We can talk about what we think the next contract's going to look like. Our contract is good through the next fiscal year. we would not be wise to wait till the end of that contract to start looking again, because there have been municipalities that have not gotten responders to bid proposals for solid waste. Again, you think one missed trash route's bad? Imagine 13,000 for a couple of weeks being missed because there is just a lack of vendors out there in this industry. We don't want to be getting in at the last minute begging for a contractor to want our business, because we will get the high end of the price value for this. So we want to talk about where it stands today. We want to talk about what it might look like.
Right.
Specific questions?
Yeah, Connor, do you want to bring back up the second slide? Just leave it up, please. Okay, Councilor Grow.
Quickly, these fee increases, if they're passed, would go in effect on January or July 1st, the new fiscal year? Would they be immediate? When would we see a changeover?
Yeah, the request is for July 1.
Well, actually, while I got the mic, just very quickly, are we going to be able to see a difference between if we go with the full recommendation of $4 versus $3 or anything? I mean, how does that shift the reliance on the general fund? That's more of a question, I think, for Connor.
I'm sorry, I only caught a little bit of it. You're wondering if we select different fees, what the impact on the general fund would be?
Correct.
Okay. I have a chart for that.
I thought he might.
All right, so I mapped out 5 alternatives here on this chart for different proposed fees. So you can see them in the third column over, this one here. And then the 2 dotted boxes on the right show what the impact would be on the general fund. So it ranges, $1 million to $2 million, and then in FY26, $1.5 million to $2.4 million.
Councilor Gross?
Councilor Memard.
I see your schedule there. At Budget and Finance, I brought up the question, which I think should be on the table as well, that the general fund should not necessarily be subsidizing the services that we provide for trash disposal. And I would like to put on the table for our consideration to increase these fees somewhat beyond what Mike has very reasonably proposed in anticipation of our budgetary distress going forward and the reality of these costs. I'm aware that a lot of my neighbors don't recycle, period. They put it all in a trash bag and fie on them. But I compost, I recycle assiduously. We don't have a lot of trash flow, but other people choose not to. And that's something that we work through in our schools and everywhere else. But I would just like, Connor, to have your schedule include going from $2 to $3 for the small trash bags and from $4 to $5 for the large, as Carolyn Clark used to call them, the Barney bags. And I don't know, Jill or Mike, if you want to address that in terms of, or Connor, how that would impact reducing some of the stresses that we all face financially as a city.
I could figure that. I don't know off the top of my head. I could do some math to figure out what that would be, but I just don't know right now.
I think any increase at all will help offset the general funds, the general fund obligation to the trash program. We have to have trash collection in the city, a way to dispose of trash and recycling. We offer a whole host of services, white goods, bulk items. Again, even our fee proposal doesn't match some communities nearby that are even higher. And you wonder why people, rather have the city take the couch away than have the furniture company take the couch away and they got their brand new sectional. It's less money. Mattress disposal, textiles, that's the DEP mandated that a year ago, November, and there's a cost to dispose of mattresses. Our contract is $110 less an item than a local hauler. It's $40 and they come to your house and they take it away. It's a pretty good deal relative to the local hauler charges $150. So any increase to the fee, and I'm not suggesting that it's what we should do, but any increase to this is just less general fund dollars supplementing the pay-as-you-throw program.
Counselor, I think what you were asking to, what's the impact of $1 million on the budget, right? And I think because we're looking at every department right now, what you would see is most of our departments that's bigger than their whole budget. I think, as Mike suggested, his work in public services, that's the whole budget there as well. When the schools are talking with us and they're asking for increases, they would jump for joy for $1 million increase. So, so when you ask kind of what that impact is, I think it's significant in the discussions. We talk a lot every day about, smaller numbers, 20,000, 10,000. When you look at these numbers and you're talking million, $1.5 million, those can make huge differences in the other services that we provide and the other work that we're able to do.
Thank you. And that was the point I really wanted to make. My concern is that given the city's budget constraints, that these proposed rates are too conservative at this time. And I don't mean to cause a hardship on taxpayers and trash throwers in the city, but again, as you pointed out very clearly, it's a discretionary item in terms of how much you generate and how you dispose of it. And if people want to turn to a private contractor to provide the same services that the city is doing at effectively a taxpayer subsidized discount, then people should be encouraged to do that.
Councilor Grow.
Has there been any discussion or talk about turning this into an enterprise account where it's fully funding itself? I mean, I can imagine what people are going to say, so I'm just wondering if it's been tossed around.
The last time I heard it was from your voice.
Okay.
You mentioned it 10 years ago or so. We had
Yeah.
talked about whether it could support it. And at that time, may have been Jeff Town, CFO, said it's so upside down, it couldn't survive on its own. In order to balance this as an enterprise fund, we have to take Council Memhardt's suggestion and increase these accordingly. It's be a significant increase for people across the board. So that could be explored. It hasn't been explored just because it hasn't been self-sufficient in the least since as long as I've been here, even longer than that. I mean, the trash there's no magic bullet for trash. It is most directors, whether it's public works director, health directors, most difficult thing that they manage during the course of a day because it impacts so many the same way. Your trash is the same day every day of the week, just like everyone is. Yes, like mine is. We have a trash pickup. We expect it. When it's interrupted or it costs more, it's a difficult pill to swallow. A lot of things are right now. I mean, we're certainly struggling financially. And again, that $1 million, that is the whole operating budget for ordinary for a division that provides a lot of service to the city. And I'm not sure how you cut it. We're already looking at level funding for this year. That's not level service, that's level funding. So there'll already be a decrease in core services. And so some of the people that have been around this community for many, many years, why don't we do this anymore? We simply can't afford to do it anymore. So we try to do as much as we can with what we have and try to at least touch as many people as possible.
I think to Councilor Memhardt's point, every dollar we don't collect on fees of some sort is a dollar out of the fire department budget, a dollar out of the police department budget, a dollar out of the school department budget. So, the pot of money and the pot of need, we're going to have to see something. Maybe we look at a tiered increase after this year so that we have a more regular increase in fees to match the increase in cost of the contracts.
I think a tiered increase would be great. It hasn't been that popular. It's been discussed before, and this is a tough discussion. Certainly for the 9 of you, it's a tough discussion. It is in my office, I'm sure for the mayor's office. So that was the route we wanted to go. We'd certainly support that. We could provide documentation of what that would look like. But something needs to happen because again, in the next 12 months, we're going to have a very different looking trash contract that It's either going to be supported by the actual users or supported by the taxpayers.
Councilor Majota.
Three questions. You mentioned, Jill, about composting as being, has there ever been a thought of a citywide compost, like what Manchester or other communities do, rather than in individual families being, paying that additional money? Okay, I just want to make sure, I just want to get it known to the public.
In order to have a citywide composting operation, that's another component to this contract. And it does not offset the cost of the, when you divert compost from your solid waste to straight composting, you don't divert enough of the total tonnage to cover the cost of the program. Meaning if we spent $500,000 a year on a composting operation, the offset to the tipping fee would be, and the collection fee would be less than $250,000. So you're upside down again. Now, you could enter into a composting contract with the composter at your discretion, whether it's a weekly pickup, bi-weekly pickup, or whatever your family generates for compost. And you can save yourself money by not having as many bags weekly or having a smaller bag weekly. So there is a market for it. Small towns are difficult to compare to a small city. You're talking about composting, much different. It's a different operation, and Manchester's fortunate that they actually have a place for composting to occur that the vendor has an agreement with the town for, so it offsets costs. We don't have that. I'm not sure which one of you want the composting area in your wards, but I imagine that'd be a difficult discussion for the 9 of you. Because again, composting has to be kind of remote because of the odor that it creates and rodents that it attracts. And so it's complicated. Beverly has a drop-off composting facility, or they also have a private driven one that is slightly offset by the town, but it's not cost effective. It may be desirable, but again, if you want it, you can have it tomorrow. Anyone can have it tomorrow. It's just a matter of whether you want to do it or not.
Thank you. Questions, Tony? If these rates increase, I feel like this would be toilet paper again, where everyone's running to the stores to purchase in bulk to save as much money as they possibly can. If that does happen, and someone wants to buy as many trash bags as possible, is there enough trash bags to have for those who are unable to purchase it because someone bought up 100 trash bags?
It's already happening.
It's already happening?
It's already happening.
Okay.
It happened when we changed from tags to bags. It happened every time there's an increase, it happens. There's not the run as you're describing. And we can control what the vendors sell too. We can let them know that, you can't buy more than 1 roll at a time or 2 rolls at a time. It is very taxing on the bag supplier because the bag model is something that's kind of grown in the Northeast, and they can't keep up with it at times. And so it's very scheduled when the bags go out. But a disruption like this, the public made a big run on Market Basket last week, and someone whispered it somewhere in the community, and they went through a month's supply in a week. So it'll be probably some more gray hair after this gets through. So it'll be a challenge with a bag manufacturer to keep up with the orders.
And my last question, either for you or Jill, has there been any, I'm looking at the numbers, but has there been any thought of incremental, whether you cut this fee in half this year for 2024 to 2025 and then go up again for 2025, 2026? That way it's not hitting residents so much as, it's just the cost of goods and everything. And I understand why we're doing these increases, but everything is increasing.
Right.
So it's, you save $10 somewhere, you're spending $20 somewhere else. So is there a way to do an incremental?
So this is our incremental approach. So we talked, so you can see it. And also, I just want to point out, our amazing CFO already did the math for you, in case you didn't notice, Councilor Memhard. Because we're expecting increases in the contract at the same time, This is kind of our, this is our incremental step in that even with this step, you're still, we'll still be subsidizing because we're going to see increases in the contract itself, so.
Thank you. Counselor Gilman.
Thank you. So I have to say that there's a lot of interest in this issue right now. In fact, I did 2 posts on my social media city council page. The first was the meeting that Mike Hale had with the Budget and Finance Committee for the fiscal 2025. This year's budget was in May, and 3,200 views in a week, which is a lot. It means a lot of people are reading this. I'm not that popular. I only have like 1,000 followers, so that's a lot of people that are really following this. And more recently, I posted the BNF subcommittee meeting Zoom, and again, about 3,000 views. So there's a really high interest in this. So with that in mind, but understanding what we've heard, I think it's really invaluable that we've had this opportunity to understand why. So it's really important that information gets out to our constituents. So, so I would say, if depending on how we vote tonight, I would suggest that we have little plexiglass things at the places where we're selling the bags, and we explain why we're doing this, for what reason, and let people know and educate the people that are selling them what it is and why we're doing this. Because without that enforcement, it's just going to be really frustrating for people. But so here's my ask through the chair to Mike Hale. So I was talking to Mayor Verga today, and we're both really proud of how our families are doing with, pay for play or whatever you call it.
You just keep it on the.
Yes,
the
I am.
question.
Thank you. And we were talking about the fact that, we both only use one purple every 3 weeks, which is pretty good recycling, because we've learned how to cut back. We don't drink water bottles anymore. We have a big thing of yogurt instead of little containers. We've really become smart. So that's a positive thing. So I like the process. But a question that I'd like to ask is there any way that possibly the outlying districts, not downtown, but the districts that might be more eligible for automated carts or something, could we ever think of only collecting purples every 2 weeks for them instead of 1? Because we have the opportunity of using a big bin to keep it closed and away from coyotes and whatever and outdoors, whereas folks in downtown are going to have a hard time doing that because they have to keep their stuff inside, right? And if they've got baby diapers and stuff, it's going to smell. So that's a problem. But I was just wondering if that was anything that we could ever consider, is doing it every other week, or if that's just too complex and complicated. So through the chair, that's my question to Mike Hale.
So the question's relative to, can solid waste be picked up on a bi-monthly basis rather than, you can structure a contract any way you'd like. I think whomever proposed it would be the least popular council in the city.
Even more than a big rate change.
It's I do. When we had bi-monthly recycling for years,
Yeah.
when we went to weekly recycling, there was a lot of positive feedback from the community because people do not like to store trash. Even
Yeah.
those in the outskirts of the leafy suburbs, how we want to refer to the the various villages of the city. Not everyone has space. Not everyone lives in a house or an apartment that has garage space or a place that can neatly tuck away for 2 weeks worth of solid waste. I don't know if that's the solution. And again, you can choose to put your trash out every other week. if that's what you generate, or every third week, whatever it may be. But it's,
I was thinking of course, we'd be putting our recycling in. I was just thinking of holding back on the purples and if there was any way that there was cost savings, but it sounds like it's just not a popular way to go.
so
You know better than me, so that's why I'm asking.
it's a kind of a habit question, a kind of
Mhm.
lifestyle question. I don't think I'm prepared to answer how people want to live their lives. I think it's a difficult thing to ask someone to hold back on their solid waste. Just even like recycling wasn't popular for people to store it for an extra week and then put it out. I guess the question is ultimately there's a savings on collection if that's the case, because you're only collecting half the number of weeks of the year. But I guess the real question would be, is there a tonnage difference at the end of that year? I don't know. You know, would people completely kind of do things like you're doing at your home, kind of conserving, or they just have the same trash just for 2 weeks and they put out the same, weight of trash every other week? I don't know.
Thank you. That's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Grace.
I thank you. Just a question about a way to reduce bulk waste, where textiles are considered, not allowable in the bulk waste. Does the city have any mechanism, or is there a possibility of a mechanism for a drop-off place for textiles? Because to my best of my knowledge, the only place in Gloucester currently is Second Glance, which isn't always convenient for people to get to, so they throw it in the trash and hope no one notices.
We've had numerous starts and stops to textile drop-off. They typically become the dumping ground of everything undesirable, from mattresses to cribs to bicycles to lawn furnishings. It's not a traditional, swap shop as some communities have at their transfer stations. It's solely meant for unsoiled textiles. There's really no good way to enforce it. And I can't, budgetary constraints. I can't have someone sit there and watch it. CCTV works when you can see the plate, or it's a clear enough view of the plate. So and then the piece has to be enforced after that. And, GPD has their hands full on a good day, let alone to chase around someone who dropped the tricycle off at a textile bit.
And my second thing is more of a comment than a question. In recent memory, we had an issue with this, a strike in this town, and lots of people stepped forward and say, I don't mind spending a little bit more money if it helps the teachers. By default, these fees would help that process.
I would say by default, and it's one, as the mayor always says, it's one balloon, you have to squeeze it. So any increases to the school side of the budget will result in decreases to the city side that we have to make up for in other ways. But I don't want to be unclear, like this is not a vote on this tonight and the teachers get more money.
No, that's
So
not my
I
point.
just want to
The
be
point
clear.
is that when
Yes,
people
any-
go forward saying, I'm willing to pay more money for X, Y, and Z if it will help A, B, C,
Right.
this by default
It all helps balance.
helps that.
Helps
Correct.
balance.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you.
Councilor Worthley.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. I think either of you could answer, probably Mike would be able to answer this mostly. Thank you for your presentation at BNF and tonight too, and I respect how hard these decisions are. You had said this is one of the ways that people have discretion on how much they spend. And yet in the Code of Ordinances, it's required that people leave their properties litter-free. In fact, the DPW, the building inspector, the health department, the police, and a few other organizations in the city could fine people for not disposing of litter. So it's required that people dispose of litter. You can't just say, I had a neighbor who never put a trash barrel out for 10 years. I think he threw it away at work. But when he passed away, there was a lot of litter in his house, and it turns out he had a lot in his yard too. But we're not suggesting that people keep their litter. The discretion is simply you have to get rid of your litter, correct?
The solid waste, you can control what you generate. As Councilor Gilman mentioned, they shop differently, larger containers versus multiple small containers. Not buying plastic bottles or, things that have, a limited life cycle. There's lots of, and again, a lot of these things are recyclable goods, but they're not all recycled goods. There's a lot of recycled products that people think are recyclable, really aren't. They were made out of recycled materials and they're already at the end of their life expectancy. Gloucester's got about 30% contaminated recycling every week. 30%. That's a huge number. And that number is a result of people kind of diverting to, they think they're doing the right thing. It's not malicious, don't get me wrong. It's just they don't know. A dirty paper plate is not recyclable. Certain clear plastics, like you get tomatoes in at the grocery store, that's not recyclable.
Really? Container that tomatoes, the grape, the
Yeah.
cherry tomatoes.
It's already at the end of its life expectancy. It has no useful life, especially in this market with plastics. They only want premium plastics. Even the recycling stream's a bigger issue than this city. But you control what you throw away. How do you pack your bag? You can only throw away a certain number of pounds per week anyway, because the bag's rated for that. I'm not suggesting you pack your bag, but just how you shop. Again, it's not up to me to tell people how to live. I would never do that. If you want to throw 6 bags away a week, it's your decision to throw 6 bags away a week. But if you only want to throw 1 a week or 1 every other week, you can take some control of your lifestyles to manage that if that's your choice.
I appreciate it. I'm at about 1 every 2 weeks myself, and mostly recycling. But I need to make sure I don't put my cherry tomato plastic in.
Recycling brochures got a lot of information. Don't recycle that. Keep that. Look at it.
Thank you for that reminder. Do you know what the average number of bags put out per household is?
I don't, and I think that you could develop an average out of anything. I don't think the average carries much weight because there are households, that are large family households that put out 1. There are small family households that put out more than that. I don't know their lifestyles. I'm not sure where the trash is generated from. It's not my business to ask that. We pick up what's put out when it comes to, as long as it's, solid waste, not yard waste or construction debris, we pick it up.
Trying to get the sense as to the average increase per cost per household, which we can't figure out unless we know how much people are putting out. That said, recycling is not mandatory right now. Is that correct?
Recycling is mandatory in the state, not just Gloucester.
Do we have any mechanism to, I was driving the other day and I see 7 or 8 trash bags out and no recycling. And just, there's got to be a percentage where you say, if you've got 8 bags of trash, at the very least, you're going to have at least 2 bins of recycling based on lifestyle. If you see no recycling, then you know they're throwing away recycling. Do we have any mechanism to, I think the answer is going to be no, that the trash hauler is not inspecting that. We're not inspecting that as a city. Is there any mechanism to enforce recycling?
I haven't seen it done at the local level. I mean, the state may come down to the city if they go to the transfer station, so to speak, for a hauler and see what's being dumped. It's usually dumped, loaded, moved again. Sometimes the trucks just go right to the incinerator, but I know they do it with dumpsters. So a dumpster would come from Public Works, we dumped in the floor and sorted. If there are things in that trash dumpster that's supposed to be recycled or a part of the waste bin, they'll send us a note saying you did it wrong, and next time you're going to receive a monetary fine. Could it be done at the residential level? I think a little bit of a slippery slope. I'm not, we're talking about a tight budget to have staff that has got the ability to go in someone's bag and go through it. I think that may be more problematic than add value. I think education works. Certainly start with the young people, the schools. The Stop Smoking campaigns, they ran through elementary schools like wildfire when I was a kid. And you've requested that your grandparents, your mom and dad, not stop smoking, and most of them did. So I think there's a way that an educational component to this could be brought more in the elementary schools or the middle school, even the high school level. With the Green Club or something like that, maybe they'll promote some of this. I think it's looking at. I actually spoke to a high school graduate who's doing some sort of paper for college And she had no idea struggles of managing solid waste. And I'm not crying on her shoulder saying my job's hard. It's just, you can't always tell someone to do something and have them listen. And composting isn't always the answer. Recycling is not always the answer. There's a lot of answers to a lot of questions, and a lot of them are predicated on the individual and how they live.
I wouldn't think that we'd be in a position to hire someone to go through trash bags, but if someone has no recycling out, that clearly, there's got to be some standard that says, there's no way you put 6 bags of trash out and have no recycling. But maybe that's a cost to implement, and it becomes worth more to not do that. And especially with the recycling fee going up, or there being a fee for recycling, then it may not have the same fiscal value for the city to enforce recycling. When is the new contract? I guess, when would we have a new contract?
So we are about to enter into our last year of this contract. Year 10 begins August of this year. We had an interruption in service a number of years ago when our existing vendor was having some financial issues. We did not want to hesitate and wait and see what could have happened, because again, having no hauler puts us in a very vulnerable position, both from a public health perspective, political perspective, and also an economic perspective, because now a vendor knows that you have no one and they can charge you whatever they choose. So we're fortunate to enter into a good contract. We have about 15 months left on this contract. The time is now. We've already had this. We started this conversation over a year ago, talking with our existing vendor and other vendors about what trash will look like in Gloucester in the next, 5, 10, 15 years, depending on the duration of the contract, and it will look different.
Earlier in your presentation tonight, I think you might have been the ubiquitous you, but you said you never want to wait until the contract's up, because then you're at the mercy of whether there is a vendor or whether they charge us more. But when you say you, I think you mean the city. Are we looking right now at the next contract and then vendors? Have we put an RFP out for that yet? Like, what's that process? It doesn't involve the council, right?
The part that involved the council is a contract greater than 3 years, which is when likely would be. So we'd have to come to the council to request to enter into a contract of a duration longer than 3 years. And there's value and continuity to having a longer contract. So we'd likely have a longer contract. That will certainly come before the city council when that happens. We have spoken to vendors. We've spoken numerous times to our current vendor. They just purchased JRM in the last 18 months, 20 months. So, they're still going through a lot of growing pains, acquiring a new firm, trying to manage their methodology to what was, institutionalized within that, longstanding company. There's not a long list of vendors to choose from that can serve Gloucester. It's a very short list, names that most people would recognize. And again, where we are in proximity to their home base will determine who wants to give us a reasonable price to work here in Gloucester.
So when you said you never want to, you weren't telling us we need to do anything yet. You're working on that.
They use me
Yeah.
in this case.
Okay.
I do not want to wait till the last minute to start negotiating a contract. That'd be not a wise move.
Good luck with that. Just a few more questions, if I may.
If anybody else has any
That's
questions,
2, but okay.
go ahead.
No, if anybody else has questions,
No,
I'll wait. I
go
wait
ahead.
until the very end just to make sure that
No,
anybody
go
else.
ahead.
Okay. Earlier, I think it was you or Ms. Cahill who said that, we are subsidizing the trash contract. Who is the we that's subsidizing that?
The subsidy comes from the general fund. So that's taxes and other fees that land in the general fund.
Isn't it essentially, though, that taxpayers are subsidizing the contract? Every taxpayer is subsidizing the trash contract.
Sure, the general fund's made up of more than just tax dollars, but lion's share of it is tax dollars. Some form of tax, whether they're real estate tax.
I can't hear.
I think the important thing to remember is some of those taxes and fees are not, those people don't use this type of trash service. So multifamily buildings, for instance, they don't use purple bags. They have a private trash service. So Again,
Businesses,
it's a pay-
right.
Businesses, it's a pay-as-you-throw. The people who are using it are paying more for the use of it. But yes, and yes, there are people who don't touch it and don't use it at all who are paying for it, subsidizing it.
So it's just not like it's just taxpayers are subsidizing everybody who uses trash bags. I got it. Okay. I had two other questions here. Give me a second to find my notes here. We went from stickers to bags, and I understand why we had to do that. The weight of the bag, do we pay for that as well in the trash? I mean, I did some math, and I think it's maybe about 90 tons extra weight because we're using plastic. You know, putting plastic bag into a plastic bag adds more weight.
Check a decimal point. I think we dispose about 9,000 ton a year.
You dispose 9,000 tons, so I had 90. You think it's more like 9?
Maybe
Could
less
be.
than that. I mean, it's, you know, I can carry a case of bags, no problem.
Well, I wasn't, yeah, the weight of the bag, but times 13,000.
A case of bag is, you know, a couple hundred bags. I can carry that, no problem. So I don't think the weight of the bag is material to significant, certainly, to the total tipping fee. I think it's nominal at best. I think wet trash is a bigger issue than the bag. Icy trash, you know, looking at barrels with the purple bag, you know, hanging out during this winter with, you know, a foot of snow on it. You know, those are the expensive ones because that barrel is dumped into the back of the packer, and that snow winds up melting and getting everything soaked. And so you pay for the weight there. Again, that's why we've always encouraged people to put their bags in a covered barrel. It prevents rodents, it prevents coyotes and raccoons, prevents wind, and it keeps it dry, so it keeps the weight low. I don't think the weight of the bag is significant enough to have much of a discussion on it.
You say you can carry 100 bags at once. I'm talking about, we have 26,000 bags a week if everyone puts 2 bags out, right? So 26,000 bags weighs
Counselor,
something.
I have to ask you, what does this have to do with the fees?
Well, if we didn't
mean,
have the
it would-
bags, then we would be paying less in the weight of our
But we're not
trash.
talking about stickers, we're talking about bags.
I understand
There's
that.
nothing before us says that we're changing
Okay.
our course.
We just had a long discussion about all sorts of other things that unrelated to the cost of the bags, and you didn't stop anybody from asking those questions. So I'm sorry, my fourth question talked about weight of bags, and what that would cost us if we had a different plan. But
No, yours was proposing a different plan. I mean, I guess, yes, it was. It was 2 weeks. That was also brought up. So go ahead.
it's okay. I don't mind being the example that you set.
Counselor Benson has some questions.
No, I've asked all the questions. I'm going to ask on this right now.
Counselor Benson.
Thank you. Jill, I had a question for you. You talked about 2027. Can you explain a little bit more of what you're meaning by 2027? And then with that question is, say we were to do a staggered type of thing. You just said this was already staggered, but say we get up to the fee increases that you're talking about by next year. Could that be something that we could look at? If that makes sense. I apologize if you're not understanding.
It's okay. I think I get what I think I understand.
Yeah, I'm like trying, but yeah, so my question, so if you could just quickly elaborate what you mean by, you mentioned year 2027, and then say, could it be possible, would it be something that the administration could see, we could do this, say half increase. So say today we do $1.75, and then next year we get to that 2.25, if that makes sense. So by fiscal year 2027, we're at $2.25.
Counselor Benson, hold on.
Yes.
That's for us to decide.
I understand that, but my question is,
a
would that be
schedule of what is here, of what the changes will be. And the administration is providing us with the information to make us educated so we can make a good faith movement on what this fee should be. So the decisions on it are not the administration's, that is ours.
I understand that. I'm
Counselor
just
Benson, I
asking
just point out
administration's
to you
view.
that the numbers we used, we're anticipating a new trash contract in FY 2027. So that's
Okay.
why we're kind of pegging that date. And then I think what Connor put up on the screen for you is probably is the closest thing to being able to help you guys determine like what each step would mean. I mean, it doesn't go through in detail because we did this kind of just for today. But anticipating that you would want this data tonight. So I think Counselor Benson, if anyone's having trouble seeing us, let us know. We can get it to you.
I can see it fine. And then just my follow-up would be we if we were to do, like, will you be looking to do another increase next year? Say we vote on the proposal that you've presented to us, are you planning to do something next year too? If that makes sense.
I don't feel comfortable like making an assumption on that based on the current federal system, state system with
Fair
all the
enough.
changes happening
Fair
on,
enough.
on what we can and cannot expect in this uncertainty. I can't say that.
That's reasonable, and thank you for allowing me to ask a question.
All right, counselors. I haven't spoken
You
yet.
know, I had a question that related to
Yeah,
what Counselor.
we'll get to you.
Thank you.
As I was stated to Counselor Benson and for all, is that we've been given choices and options here for us to make a decision on whether we want to stay with status quo and live with a $2 million deficit. We want to stay with, an FY27 possibility, an FY26, a known quantity, we're at $1.5 million, I think, is, next year's subsidy. So that's where we're at. It's up to us to then, discuss it maybe internally amongst ourselves on what we think needs to happen here. Where I think we've been given enough information on what this costs us. And so that would be, that's our next move. Councilor Worthley, you had something else?
I just want to ask one more question. I think it was related to what Counselor Benson said. Earlier, when we were talking about the other fees, someone said that it was discovered that there's a way to adjust fees more easily by putting on a fee schedule or something. I just was picking up on something.
All fees, except for the ones that are in the charter or by state law that are in ordinances, could be by council vote.
But there was something about, someone said this process discovered that we could change
It
fees
was,
differently.
there was a council action that a motion and a vote to centralize all fees in the city clerk's office.
So if there were a reason to increase fees again, would the process be by a vote of the council, or is it by DPW promulgation or the mayor's office? Like, how does that work if we were to go up now and go up again later?
A vote of the council.
Is there a reason why we don't review fees more often? Is it just convenience, or is it, we have these stories of that hasn't increased since XYZ, and then it becomes a big jump sometimes for the users, for residents, where if there was an incremental increase over time, it might be a little easier to swallow that. Is it just political or laziness or?
I can only answer for Mayor Berger's administration, and we're choosing to do this as part of looking at government in whole and the budget as a whole. So I don't want to speculate as to why other people didn't look at it previously.
Council Worthy,
Oh,
have you
sorry.
ever made a to-do list and it keeps getting bigger and
Oh,
bigger and bigger and
absolutely.
things sort of, I think that could be the same thing with any administration or any person, that your to-do list keeps getting bigger and bigger and sometimes things pass.
Yeah,
and
no, I
you just keep
understand that.
going.
I'd asked Ms. Poirier if we could work on and, adjust for inflation yearly, and if any other cities and towns do that, and I don't know if you had a chance to check with other cities and how they
They
handle it.
don't. I did check.
Thank you.
We close to getting a motion on the table?
I guess, and after the motion, if there's questions during the motion, then we can move forward. We have a motion, then discussion.
I'm going to move to recommend the city council approve the
When
proposed
does it- when it
trash
come
fee
out of budget and
schedule as
finance?
presented in a
What?
memo dated
wait.
February
Comes out of
4th,
budget and finance.
Wait a
2025,
minute.
as incorporated hereto presented by the Director of Public Works and approved by the
Budget and
mayor.
Finance makes the motion. And then amendments.
Why? There's no
I guess it
motion.
it just got forwarded to the council, so
Yeah,
we
you
can.
you guys, anybody can
Motion
make the
was-
motion.
Let him
You
proceed.
guys, you guys should have made the motion at BNF if you wanted to make the motion
We're
tonight.
at full council, which Council Grow is.
Yep.
being.
Oh, well, continue with that.
I did. I just read the motion. It was here, which is to move to recommend that city council approve the proposed trash fee schedules presented in a memo dated February 4th, 2025, is incorporated hereto presented by the Director of Public Works and approved by the mayor. And it's a move.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Gross, seconded by Councilor Majota. Discussion. Councilor Gilman.
I will be supporting this. We have to realize that the last time we changed the fees was 2016, which is 9 years ago. I think the information was compelling, and I think it's reasonable, although a large jump to do the 15 gallons, 36 gallons from $1.25/225 to $2/$4. The bulk items to go from 10 to 25 and the appliances from 30 to 35 as recommended. I think it's reasonable, so I will be supporting this.
Thank you. Councilor Nolan.
I didn't have any questions on this because I believe it was straightforward. There's a lot of work done on this. I've been known to say before, if it costs $1 to mail a letter, the post office should charge $1. It shouldn't be up to everybody else to offset an expense of something that is a pay-as-you-go type situation. The trash industry has changed dramatically. I remember when we sat back here on what Mike Hale did with the negotiations with JRM to put us in a wonderful position over the years with a 10-year contract that's coming up. And the fact that we went from $0 for recycling to $119 per ton at this point for one particular contract is a huge contrast to what we're paying now. And there's going to be a levy of expenses that comes through this. And I think that we have the odd opportunity to jump on ahead of time to make a difference and try to get things together to make sure that we can seal a great deal and have the money available for it. There are people that don't have the ability to use this that cost them money. There's some private roads and developments. There's, families, in buildings over 4 or 3 units or more. But the fact of the matter is, this is one of the things that you're solely responsible for. It's how you manage what you get rid of. And if you need to save a few dollars, there's a lot of other options with recycling at this point, not ruling out the fact that recycling may cost us some, but how you buy things, how you use things. You go back to the whole, people that went to the register and the young lady said to the old lady, you should buy more recyclables. And she talked about the glass jars and returning things. There are ways to save money. And for me, this is a no-brainer. I know it's going to cost people money, and I'm not 100% thrilled about it, but I think it's the fairest way to cover the city's expenses and not offset and take away from other city services to work within your means to make it the best, to keep it affordable. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Councilor Memard.
I'm glad that we've had a discussion about this in as much depth as we have. I sincerely believe from a fiscal budgetary point of view, responsible management of our budget, that we should be considering a higher rate. However, my sense is that this is what the administration has asked for, and this is what the council is willing to do to this time. And we will have that opportunity at a later date. But I think it's very helpful to see what our real costs are and what it is that, as Councilor Nolan just said, we're subsidizing. And it is a lifestyle choice in terms of how much trash stream we generate and how we manage it. But I will be supporting the motion as made. Thank you.
Connor, could you bring up the slide that has the graphs with the proposed?
The one with the fee?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Councilor Grow.
Don't look so sad. I'm going to support this, obviously. I think the people have, we all appreciate that rising costs on individual homeowners and taxpayers is happening all around us. But, as I pointed out many times, people want us to run the city like a business, but it's not. We have to run it like a household. We have a certain amount of income that comes in. We have a certain amount of expenses that go out, and we have to make adjustments when those change. It may seem like a high percentage increase. It's $1.75 for the bags. But if we don't make an increase in the bag fees, we're taking money out of other services that I think people might consider to be more essential and more needed and less likely to be funded. So for every dollar that we're taking out of trash, we're going to be putting it into the fire department, and the police department, or schools, or whatever, DPW, paving roads, whatever it is. It's money that is much needed elsewhere. And as Councilor Nolan has rightly said, this is a lot about choice, about how you choose to consume things and use the trash system. So modifications will take place. And again, I appreciate Councilor Memhard's willingness to go even higher, given the reality of the actual costs. And I think that I'm glad the mayor put this forward. I don't relish paying $4 a bag, but I'm going to support it, and we're going to find a way to minimize our use as much as possible.
Councilor Worthley.
Thank you. So what's been proposed, my math is correct, is a 77% increase. And if you divide that over the 9 years, that's 8.5%. And I respect that the costs have gone up for us. Everything I've seen shows that the consumer pricing index for trash removal has gone up faster than 2.5%. It's gone up 4.5% on average over the last 10 years. So I asked Kenny Koster, our auditor, to impute what 4.5% per year would have brought us to had there been an increase per year based on this industry. And in year 9, which we're in now, it would bring us to $3.15 for the non-senior discounted bag and $1.75 for the senior discounted bag. That would be keeping up with the cost of inflation for this industry. And so to say that in the times that we're in, that we want to go up to 8.5% average rate increase per year versus the 4.5% that it has been for this industry is not running it like a business or like a household. It's running it like an additional tax. And we talk about how the general fund subsidizes this. Well, the general fund is made up of things that are paid for by taxpayers. So I appreciate the work that's been done and the mayor's proposal to go up to 77%. I would like to consider that there are people who are on fixed incomes, not just seniors, but people who will not make more money by working more. And that includes some of our teachers, it includes our paraprofessionals, it includes our firemen and policemen. We have people who are on fixed incomes that are disabled, that can't get a senior discount. And there's no reason why we can't bring this back, either in a year or a year and a half when the new contract does get approved. And I fully expect it'll cost more than we have currently. I think, Mr. Hale, you've done a fantastic job of getting that 10-year contract. And we can, I think you said August, so we have a year and a half or so before that new contract kicks in. And there's nothing to stop the council from putting forward something to increase it further, or the mayor from putting something to increase it forward. So I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that was been made and offer that we go up to $3 for the 36-gallon bag and $1.75 for the $15 bag, and I so move.
Second.
The motion I made is to go up to $3 for the 36-gallon bag and $1.75 for the 15-gallon bag. So it's still a significant increase from the $2.25 and $1.25, but it's not as significant. It will be a big dent into the subsidy that the city's doing, but not as big of a dent. And we can revisit this in a year or sooner. And if it needs to go to 4 or 5, then the councilors can make that motion at the time. But this is, I think, one of those compromises where we look at the person who's on a fixed income. We look at people who are just getting by. And everyone says, well, they could just stop going to Starbucks and not spend.
Just ask for the motion to be repeated.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. I forgot to testify.
Sorry, I just wanted the numbers again.
Did you get the numbers?
You said 125 to 175 and then 225 to $3.
You got it.
Thank you.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Worthley, seconded by Counselor Benson. Discussion.
On the motion. Did
I think you
motion.
kind of did it.
Wrap it up.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So on one hand, we can say, yes, we see people going to Starbucks, we see people going to Dunkin' Donuts, and if they just didn't do that, they could afford to pay for their trash. That's some people. There are some people who are just getting by, and we represent them too. And $200 more a year, $250 more a year could be the difference maker. And
Total.
what's that?
200. 208 was the total one bag.
It was one
Not
bag.
the difference.
Right. So for some people, that means they can't afford to send their kid to Washington DC every year when the middle school does that. Or it might mean that they can't afford to have their kids be in Little League or a softball program or something like that. It could mean the difference of buying new sneakers. I mean, we represent everybody. And I fully respect that we can encourage and educate people on recycling, and we can look to different kinds of ways of
It's
composting.
$91 more a year
In what scenario?
between the 225 and the $4 for, if you do one bag.
Yeah.
It's $91 is the differential.
Right. And so for some families, it's 2 bags and 3 bags. And I think we need to do more to encourage recycling and composting and all these clever, smart ways to reduce the weight of our trash. And when there's a new contract, maybe there's a different story on recycling and how we manage that. But I think we need to keep in mind that we talk about affordability, and this is
Sell
the
the
one
motion.
place, this is the one place where we can actually make it a little
Please
less
get to
expensive.
the motion, selling it, not the global view. And
Thank you,
yeah,
editor. Appreciate that.
yeah. So no matter what, this is going to be shouldered by the people that you're exactly talking about, trying to save the money. So it's either they take it out of the back pocket or they take it out of the front pocket. They're still taking it out.
Well, the taxes are going to go up otherwise, though, right?
And
I'm sorry. I'm not sure. what you're saying.
or they're losing services. One or the other. That's what will happen is loss of services. The proposal is a 1.56 for next year. For this year, if we do, it's $1 million subsidy. Next year will be 1.56. With the new contract is what their thought is. And can we see the other slide, Honor?
The one without the fees or the one with all the different alternatives?
Oh, no, the other slide that's like this, but it's the current.
There it is.
Okay. So this year, we're subsidizing at 1.5. That's a significant subsidy. So you're either losing it somewhere, there is larger classrooms, there's less firefighters, there's less police on duty, there's roads that don't get fixed, because who knows what's going to happen to Chapter 90 money. There's, a whole host of things, lawns that don't get mowed. It's, emergencies that tap out and then we don't get the services because the overtime, we can't cover it and they have to take it out of. So this is a choice of how we deal with this. And I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that this is a big delta between trash bags, no matter which number we have. That's all.
And what I propose reduces that delta, but just not by as much as the other.
No, it
proposal.
increases that delta by $500,000.
No, if we have let's make sure we're all seeing the graph the correct way.
Go to the one that has all the numbers.
I'm looking at the chart that's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Without new fees, we're subsidizing, or taxpayers are subsidizing by $1.5 million. So with the reduced increase that I proposed, we'd be subsidizing it by less.
By less. but not as much as if it went to $4.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there would still be a subsidy.
There's always going to be a subsidy.
And there would still be an increase in the fee, so the subsidy would not be as much with what I proposed compared to no fee increase.
Well, with the new contract
math.
coming, it's going to be a lot higher.
Well, we're only working right now, right? I just want to make sure we're clear on this. What I'm proposing reduces the subsidy
No.
versus no
No.
fee increase.
It-
Yes,
On the motion only.
I made an amendment and it was seconded.
So
That's the motion.
Just
Let's
for
vote on the
clarification,
motion,
just for clarification.
on the amendment.
On the amendment, what you're suggesting is reducing the bag fee from what has been proposed, which will increase the subsidy on the general fund.
No.
Yes.
No. Wait, no, Joey, you're clarifying what I'm saying or am I
I'm
clarifying? what
I'm clarifying your point.
You're clarifying your
you-
interpretation of it. It's
if
not
If you,
fair.
if you don't want to interrupt me, I've got the microphone.
You can
I've got the
lie, You
microphone.
can lie, and
I've
now
got
you
the
need to call your vote on
microphone.
that.
Mr.
Excuse me,
President, I've got
both
the
of you.
microphone.
I would like to just say something here. You're both talking in circles. What Counselor Worthley is saying is that his amendment reduces the deficit by adding 75 cents that over no change.
We're
And
not
that is correct. But it does not, it adds to the deficit if you go to the adding $1.75. So it's.
Doesn't add to the deficit. It
No,
reduces the
it-
subsidy, but not by as much.
It adds to the deficit. Well, it would add to a future deficit if we reduce. The future deficit will be higher than it would be at a $1.75 increase.
Can I just say what I mean?
I just tried to explain it.
Yeah, you didn't explain it accurately.
Yes, I did.
You explained your interpretation of it as Jason.
No, it's not an interpretation. I just said, your amendment increases the amount of income, revenue. Can we have the other slide that shows the revenues? That has all this right on it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Councilor Memard.
I would just like to say that I will not be supporting Councilor Worthley's amendment, that what the mayor has proposed and the administration has supported to Budget and Finance and to the council is a fiscally responsible move forward. And Councilor Worthley's amendment would not address the budget shortfalls adequately going forward, that, as we've said, as Councilor Nolan said, leaves us with gaping holes in our school budget and our fire department and the police and everything else. So I
Okay.
do not consider what he's suggesting to be as a
I got
reasonably,
one more thing.
reasonably fiscal suggestion.
So right in front of us here, we have on alternative 4, it raises it to $1.50 and $3. If you go across, it will show you that there will be a deficit of 2 million in FY 26 next year. There'll be a deficit of $2 million is the gap. Now, if it goes to $4, so that will be less than if it goes to $4, where it increases the difference. It's less than the 240. On the bottom one with no change, how is that 240? Yeah.
The bottom one with no change would be a subsidy of 2.4 million in FY 27. So if you did the
Okay, all right.
153, it'd be
So FY 26.
2.04. Mm-hmm.
So FY 26, there's 1.9 million with no change.
Mm-hmm.
With it going to $1.50 and $3, it goes to 1.5 million. So that does reduce that deficit. Now, if you go to the proposal, it goes down by another $500,000 to 1.06 million. So if it's looked at both views, it increases the deficit or it decreases it, but it's where your starting point is. So can we go ahead on the amendment?
On the amendment, thank you. I will not be supporting the amendment for several reasons. First of all, our DPW manager or director actually reminded us that he used to have 30 people working in public service for Public Works, and today he has 13. We have special ed that is trending right now at 37% over the last 4 fiscal years. We have a health plan that is going to be averaging 14.5%, please.
Please.
Counselor, I've been listening to this conversation
And that's why I'd like to call the
patiently.
question.
Okay, well, I am deliberating on our amendment right now, so let me wrap up for you. No, I won't be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you call the roll, please, Madam Clerk?
On the amendment, Counselor Gilman,
No.
Counselor Grace,
No.
Counselor Gross,
No.
Counselor Grow,
No.
Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
No.
Counselor Nolan,
No.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson.
Yes.
The vote is 3 in favor, 6 opposed. The motion to amend fails.
Now we're back to the main motion. I have a question. Senior discount, we don't have any numbers on that. Do you have any numbers on what senior discount is, what they pay down at the, right now, what they pay?
I don't have the data on that because it gets blended in with the other revenue.
Is it in there?
So yeah, the currently at the senior discount to large bags is $1.50. That's at the discounted amount for what they pay. They pay $1.50 and the proposal would be $2.50. I think in one piece that we did discuss is, just because I want to make sure everyone's clear on communication, the senior discount is only offered at the senior center. And there's a limitation on how many bags they can buy. So it is, I just don't ever want the people to think that they can get a discount at another
Right, you
location.
can only buy one roll.
Okay. But there's not a limit on the number of seniors that can go purchase bags.
No, but that's only at the senior center.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you.
provided that there's enough bags,
Correct.
but that's the same anyway. Right. So there is a senior discount considerable that doesn't even go to $3.
May I ask a question that does not impact the, it's to understand the program, but it will not impact how we vote on this issue. But it's an important one for, at least for people who've asked the question of me. And I'll be very thoughtful if you.
Make it brief if you can.
Very brief. Only question, this is a question from Mr. Hale. Someone who is a vendor told me that they buy these in advance and then they don't make any profit on it, but then they sell them. If the price goes up, that means they have to pay more for the bags, and this person doesn't think he can carry them, just float the difference. Is that how the program works? Because I thought it was retroactive. I don't know exactly how it works. I just would like to have the answer.
Programs work differently at different times. At one point, vendors would purchase the bags and they'd give us the difference from the bag price to the sales price. And then we went,
There's a different price that they pay?
it's a slight offset.
Okay.
And then I believe it was last year, Connie might need to correct me on this, I think it was last year, the year before. We've gone both ways, and there's no real good way to do it, whether we purchase them, they just sold at the stores. The lure has always been, when you go to buy a bag, you're generally going to buy more than just a bag. You get something else. So that's why, convenience stores, markets, you're there for something other than just buying your bags. And certainly people just go buy bags. I do that. I
Question was the person having to float the difference, right? They buy a bunch of them at once. The price goes up. It just makes it that vendor said he couldn't afford the higher price in a bulk rate and float it until the customers pay for it. Are we doing it differently though?
I couldn't speak for what the vendor can and can't do. It works. You do not have to be a vendor. It's optional, and people have opted in and opted out. Our biggest issue was vendors not paying for the bags, or the direct purchase from the vendor, and them going, a little bit upside down in their repay to that, which is when that store not receiving bags during the next order. Right now, I believe they order directly from the vendor. It's sent over, and the delta's theirs, and the rest comes through the bag manufacturer to us.
Thank you. It doesn't change the vote itself. I don't understand how that works.
Councilor Grace.
I understand what Councilor Worthy is saying, and I agree that, added increase to, people's bottom line is difficult. It's always difficult, but this is much easier pill to swallow on $1.75 a week or $3.50 a week than it is for the loss of services and the things, the repercussions of these loss of services.
Anyone else? On the main motion. Dylan?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for bearing with me through the Zoom. I will not be supporting this. It seems like I would have liked to have done another amendment, but it doesn't seem like there is an appetite for that. I understand the services, but with the continued cost of living crisis, I just can't stomach it, and a lot of my constituents just can't. So I will not be supporting the main motion.
Thank you. Again, I would just like to say that, you know, what's been said before, and it's rather simple. We either take it from one pocket or we take it from another, and this is still a very sizable. I mean, think about if we had that $1 million to do something else with, it would be pretty significant for us, particularly in the Public Facilities Department, where they are definitely overstressed with the amount of things that they have to take care of in this city. So I just hope that the citizens understand that we're paying for the trash no matter what the bill comes in. We have to pay for it. How we can afford to pay for it is what is being discussed here. So it's not that we're nobody here, certainly no constituents wants to have a fee raise. Nobody here wants to have a fee raise. We would love it if we could, you know, continue on with this same contract. That would be fantastic. But we're also subsidizing that contract by, you know, $1.5 million today at the $3 at the $2.25 a bag. So this is a big issue for us, and I know it's a big issue for people. And I just hope that they understand that we have to pay this bill. Thank you. Frank?
I just want to thank Jill, Mike, Connor for the express sheet and fully understanding it and why these increases have to happen. So thank you.
Councilor Worthley.
On this main motion, I appreciate my fellow Budget and Finance Committee member not thinking that my proposal for a lesser increase was fiscally sound. And I appreciate it. But where this industry has gone up by 4.5% per year, I didn't think an 8.5% increase was fiscally sound for the homeowner who's also struggling. So I struggle to see that we can't do more with less or less with less. And so I can't support the mayor's proposal, DPW director's proposal, but I don't mean that at all to mean disrespect to the effort that you've put into this, or that we don't respect the 13 city employees in the DPW and how hard they work, or that there's any less appreciation for any department. So I just want to side with my fellow Councilor Benson in that there are people who will struggle with this more than they can afford. So I won't be supporting this. I was hoping that we could find a middle ground and maybe go up more later, but it is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace,
Yes.
Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Aye.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
No.
Counselor Benson.
No.
The vote is 7 in favor, 2 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you. On the rest of the motions before BNF, can we take that as a consent agenda, or does someone want to take
Second.
something out?
As presented?
As
So moved.
presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Worthley, seconded by Councilor Nolan in reverse. So
I would just ask people to look those through, because there
Right.
are some significant commitments by the city and grants coming in and commitments going out, but we can certainly go by consent agenda.
Well, I think he's saying consent agenda on the other fees.
Oh, we already voted
We did that
those.
already, oh, on the rest of the.
Oh, it's the rest of the,
Sorry. yeah.
Counselor, may we just?
so, well, two members can't vote on one of these. They have to recuse
We
themselves.
can't do it as a consent agenda.
So we're gonna have to pull that off anyway till the end of the meeting when we vote on the other part.
Can we,
So do we want to vote the rest as a consent agenda, or do we want to
fine by me.
have a motion read through? We can talk about each one, but,
Wait. We just read what they are,
Yeah,
just the
exactly.
very
yeah,
concise
Councilor Memard, would
statement.
you like to?
Yep, you'd be
In
happy to
case
do
someone
so.
wants to remove one.
Thank you. So this is item number 2 under our Budget and Finance report to the council. And it's a memorandum from our Director of Public Works requesting acceptance of the calendar year 2025 recycling dividends grant in the amount of $16,800. And this is something that we routinely qualify for and receive. Item number 3 is memorandum from the CFO and a 2025 SA number 5 in the amount of $132,000 for paving work on Main Street outside the police station, and a 2025 SA number 6 in the amount of $18,000 to repair of city trucks. Item number 4 is a memorandum from the city engineer requesting our acceptance of the fiscal year 2025 Mass Works Infrastructure Program to support the water pollution control facility improvement project. And this is in the amount of $500,000. Item number 5 is
We have to take that up later.
the Housing Choice Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. And
That's all of them.
that's it.
Just the one, right?
Yeah, that's, that,
And I would just, one other comment that CAO Cahill stressed during our Budget and Finance Committee meeting is that the $500,000 grant for the water pollution control facility is something that we would not qualify for if we were not in an interim compliance on 3A, which is coming up for a vote by the community on April 14th, 24th.
I move to support the consent agenda for B and F.
we already moved and seconded it.
We did?
Yep.
So all we did was remove
Yep.
the one that we can't
And we
vote on.
removed the one, yep.
Okay.
Yep, Counselor Worthley, seconded by Counselor Nolan. Oh,
Benson is
all right. Any discussion? Nothing? All right. Call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes.
Counselor Grace,
Yes.
Counselor Gross,
Yes.
Counselor Grow,
Yes.
Counselor Majota,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Aye.
Counselor Worthley,
Yes.
Counselor Benson. We did because there were some essays in there as well, so we had to do this anyway. So the vote is 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
The March 3rd O&A Standing Committee report.
Counselor Nolan.
So we have no actions tonight, info only. The following item was withdrawn, CP 2024. Worthley to NGCO Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Section 22, 274, 2-hour parking between certain hours by adding town landed parking lot, also known as St. Peter Square, with the exception of 2 loading zones, areas, and 3 handicap parking spots. The following items will be advertised for public hearing on March 25th, 2025. CC 2025-009, Worthy Majota, amend GCO Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Section 22-270, park and prohibit at all times from Section 22-291 tollway zones by adding Washington Street on the easterly side at an intersection with Deacon Farm Lane in a southerly direction for a distance of 60 feet. Number 2 is CC 2025-013, Worthley amend GCO Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Section 22-270, park and prohibit at all times, Section 22-291, tollway zones by deleting Main Street and on the southerly side, police parking only being at 80 feet from the intersection of Main Street and Duncan Street in an easterly direction for a distance of 120 feet to across the intersection of Main Street and Elm Street. All parking restrictions will terminate at the conclusion of the construction of the police and the court building and spaces revert back to public parking. The following will be advertised for public hearing on April 8th, 2025. CC 25005 Worthley, amend GCO Chapter 5 Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 5, Short-Term Rentals, Section 5-64, Definitions, Section 5-66, Requirements for the operation of short-term rentals, subsection H and T, and Section 5-69, Prohibitions. Number 2, CC 2025-011 Benson. The City Council vote to accept general laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 22J.
I do want to say that I learned late this afternoon after these templates were printed that the acceptance of the general law does not need to go to public hearing. So that will be a committee report.
Excellent. So that's number 2.
Right, okay. So that'll be taken up on the 25th. Okay, P and D, Counselor Grow.
Likewise, we have no actions tonight, but we have a number of events coming up that we approved, road closures for. Number 1, St. Peter's Fiesta. We are going to have St. Peter's Fiesta this year. We requested the request was for permission to use St. Peter's Park and Rogers Street on June 25th to June 29th. So that's the dates for Fiesta. The second one was a special event application. We're actually going to have to re-vote this on a technicality, but there will be a Battle of Bunker Hill reenactment at Stage Fort Park on June 20th. I'm sorry, excuse me, June 21st and 22nd. So it's been moved from Chelsea because of the size and the fact that it's the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill. So Stage Fort Park will be turned into a historical zone for the weekend. It's all free, by the way. Number 3, special event application for street closures for the block parties. Gloucester block parties are returning this summer on July 12th, August 9th, and August 29th. Again, that's August 12th, August 9th, and August 29th. And we also had a special event application for the Gloucester Community Safety Day, which will be held on September 27, 2025, with rain dates either to September 28th, October 4th, or October 5th, depending on the weather. So that's September 27th. And we have Special Council Permit 2025-002 Washington Street, number 964, is going to be advertised for a public hearing to be held on April 8th. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, I think the rest, we need to have to recuse yourself, so we'll go right straight to individual counselors' discussion, counselors' request to the mayor.
Do we have to do the vote?
Yeah,
Oh,
Counselor.
they can't.
Yeah, right.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, keep up.
Tony, I think we could just stay here and recuse ourselves because it's not a hearing. We're not influencing the vote.
You can't sit there, I don't think.
We can't just vote to recuse ourselves and just continue with the motion.
You can't sit at the table.
I thought that was only when there's a hearing.
No.
Undue influence.
Okay, I hope
No.
you guys are really intimidated by us.
We don't want to, yeah, so let's.
Respect that.
Yeah, let's just do it the way we've been doing it.
Okay.
Because the other ones weren't public hearings either. So Counselor Gilman.
Just have a request for a joint meeting between the school committee and the city council on the matter of discussion of our upcoming special education budgeting challenges for fiscal '26. I did hear back from Senator Tarr, and he thinks it's a great idea and would be happy to be here. And Mayor Verga said the same. So I asked Council President if you would consider organizing that with Chairperson Clancy at a date that's convenient. Thank you. That's it.
Counselor Grace.
I thank you. As we all know now, Shaw's on Railroad Avenue will be closing, which is most unfortunate for our downtown community. I read in the newspaper today that this was discussed with the administration last summer. So it was been coming down the road. It's been known that this was potentially going to happen for quite some time. So my question is, during that discussion, was there anything done or said or anything that they could reach out to other markets to say, hey, can you come down here? Or is it just kind of being left to see what's going to happen? Or can we be in any way proactive to try to draw somebody in here? Thanks.
Can I, you know, I knew about those discussions, and actually during those discussions, the owner was under the impression that Shaw's was going to continue as they were. So there was, and right up until last Friday, the owner was, he had been negotiating with them. They said, yes, everything looks good.
And he went above and beyond to try to keep it there, and I get that. But
He
I-
did.
yeah.
And so the discussions that happened 9 months ago really are not, you know, the administration, you know, by right, just, you know, had been told that basically everything was okay.
Understood.
Yep.
Nick Salidas is going to be rolling over in his grave.
Absolutely.
We don't have the little carts anymore. Who's after? Counselor Memard? Counselor Grow, oh, sorry. Okay, Counselor Joyta.
I will email the mayor.
Counselor Memard,
I'm all set with the mayor. Thank you.
you're all set. So Counselor Nolan.
I just want to give a shout out to all of our city services, more especially the fire department, our police department, and the Gloucester DPW, working in collaboration with Rockport, especially on the recent fire this weekend. It was a challenging fire with the winds. I've heard a lot of feedback from people on how wonderful our fire department is. We have a very professional fire department and police department in the city of Gloucester. They conduct themselves very responsibly and do their jobs to a T, and they kept damage to a minimum. Obviously, there's going to be a loss of a piece of property, and there are some displaced people, 14 of them, and there are some funds out there that are available online. If anybody would like to help contribute, there's plenty of places to go for GoFundMe's, and I would recommend whatever our community can do to help. It would be wonderful to those families. Thank you.
Counselor Worthley.
Yes, I just want to double down on what Council Nolan said. I put fire department first on my list here. That was a fire that could have been a lot worse with the winds that day and how close a lot of those properties are. And their quick response really saved a lot of other properties. So thank you, Council Nolan, for recognizing that hard work that they did in the police and our neighboring communities. Then I had Shaw's as my second thing on my list, so thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to just give a shout out to the O'Malley Drama Club. My daughter, with her peers, participated in 6 productions over the last 2 weekends. And I had the honor of seeing all 6 of them, but those songs are stuck in my head now, probably for the next month. But they really worked hard. There was over 80 students involved. And, you know, the Gloucester school system obviously did a lot to promote that, but also the Gloucester Education Foundation did so much to support these kids, as well as many volunteers and the PTO. So I just want to give a shout out to them, for everybody, and specifically the kids who performed, and tech crew and stage hands and all that. And I have other requests to the mayor that I'm happy to submit directly. So thank you. Happy to leave this meeting early if necessary.
Okay, and I had a conversation with Mr. Tebow, the owner of the property, the landlord, and he gave me some great insights that they had, you know, that he had negotiated and had come down to their negotiating terms, and he was completely blindsided by this. But he is actively right now pursuing new tenants, and we hope he's successful, and he wants to continue the conversation about it. So, you know, hopefully we can have a good resolution out of this, because that is just an unbelievable loss to downtown. I understand, you know, that it's a little hard maybe sometimes to carry 2 grocery stores in a community the size of Gloucester, but that one is one that's far more valuable to the,
Stop and shop.
well, I meant just Shaw's having 2
Oh, sorry.
themselves. It's actually 4, but.
Mhm.
But that one, I think, you know, is more valuable than the other one, because it's the clientele there is so dependent upon it. Be in the neighborhood, you just can't have food deserts. It's just devastating. So we'll work with the administration and with the landlord and hopefully get something in there. All right. Go ahead, Counselor Nolan. You can have a second. 'Cause you were
I'm
good
sorry
all
to bring
night.
this again.
You were good
Um,
all night.
On Shaw's, it is a private business and they have choices to make and decisions to make on the amount of money they bring in. And one of the things I'd like to ask the people of Gloucester is, first of all, calling it Ghetto Shaw's didn't do it any justice. And it actually kind of brought a bad name to the area. And a lot of response on Facebook is that, I can't believe it's gone. There's so many people that depend on this place. But by being derogative in its name and then not occasionally stopping in to shop there, if a shopping or any business isn't doing business, they're not going to stay in business. And it is an essential part of that area. So for the people that were complaining about it, that also called it with a derogative name, but also never frequented the place, but want to cry to the city that it's not there. It is a private business. Those businesses are there to make money. If you want something to be sustainable for the elderly and the people in walking distance, when it's open, how about stopping in once in a while and doing some shopping? I'm not saying you have to go there all the time, but, participate in trying to buy something to make sure that it's equitable for a firm to be there for our less opportunistic people to get around, our elderly, and keep it easy and open for them. So maybe that's just a word to the advice, because I've never liked that derogatory name for the store, and I really thought that was kind of clumsy of people to use. Thank you.
Olin for president. That was awesome.
Okay, you guys want to excuse yourself? Thank you for this evening.
Bye-bye.
We want to take a recess or
Give Marjorie a hug.
all right, 5 minutes, 5-minute recess, okay? All those in favor of a recess? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I moved it. Who seconded it? Frank seconded it.
masticate.
Okay, we're back in session. All right, we're back on Councilor Memard. Do you want to do item number 5?
So item number 5 from the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of last week is a memorandum from the Director of Public Works requesting acceptance of the fiscal year 2025 Housing Choice Grant Program in the amount of $400,000. I'll read the motion. We can discuss. On a motion by Councilor Gross, seconded by Councilor Memhard, Budget and Finance Committee voted by roll call, 2 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Recommend that the City Council accept a state grant under Mass General Law, Chapter 4453A, a fiscal year housing choice grant for $400,000 from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities for the purpose to support the downtown water and sewer infrastructure. The grant period will be determined at a later date with an executed contract. There is no local match for this grant, and I so move.
Second.
And that was fiscal year 25 housing grant.
Motion made by Councilor Memard, seconded by Councilor Gross. Any discussion? Councilor Grow.
I just want to reiterate what Councilor Memhard said about the $500,000 grant, and that is that this $400,000 grant is entirely predicated on the fact that we are currently in interim compliance with 3A in the state law. If we don't continue that path, this is the kind of grants that we will begin to lose and not be able to apply for. And the purpose of this grant is specifically to deal with infrastructure issues up on Gloucester Avenue neighborhood that has a terrible situation as it is right now. And if we don't have the funding sources that these grants enable to do these kinds of projects, these projects just simply won't get done.
And again, CAO Jill Cahill made the same statement, stress the same points at Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 7-0, 2 absent. All right, now we have for council vote. I move to set the dates for early voting for the April 24th, 2025 special election to be conducted on April 14th.
24. Oh, sorry.
April 14th, 2025 through April 18th, 2025 during regular business hours, and I so move.
Second.
So this is for early voting during business hours. Any more discussion? Councilor Gilman.
I will be supporting this, and I think it's fiscally responsible that we're only doing this during working hours because that doesn't allow, we don't need to have extra staff and overtime. So I think that that was a wise decision. So I'll be supporting this.
Councilor Grow.
Similarly, I'm going to be supporting this. I think it's also really important to understand that, this referendum is an odd time to have an election for us. It's on a Thursday. It's in April. But we've done everything we can to make sure that people have an opportunity to vote by having early voting, vote by mail, absentee voting. These are all ways that people can register their position before the 24th. And of course, hopefully you'll be turning out on the 24th to vote if you don't utilize these opportunities. But every possible way that we can get people to the polls, we have agreed to do and encourage. So please turn out one way or the other.
Councilor Grow, could you just restate why we're voting? What the vote for? We don't state it here. It's just worth stating.
I'm sorry. We're
Something
voting
about some chapter 3A.
Oh, the referendum for
Housing.
the approval of 3A, City Council proposal.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. 7-0, 2 absent. 2 recused, sorry. Oh, 6-0, that's right. 1 absent, 2 recused. Same thing with the previous one. Sorry, yes. And now we need to adopt the warrant for the April 24, 2025 special election. This was in your packet. Any discussion? All right, well, I guess I move to adopt the warrant for the April 24, 2025 special election. I so move. Motion made by Counselor Gross, seconded by Counselor Nolan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0, one absent, two recused. Now we'll do a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Gross, seconded by Counselor Nolan to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Motion passes 6-0. Two recused, one absent. Thank you very much. Good night.